Hello, everyone. Welcome to LOCKBEARD Phenomenon. Uh, um, hopefully, my sound is working right. The internet seemed to be acting wacky there for a little bit, but maybe we'll be okay. Hold on a second. All right. Sorry about that. Let's see who's here. Got Paul, Gene, Mr. Lee. Welcome, y'all. Yeah. Try to get the announcement out a little early. I try to get them earlier in the future. See how it goes. Sandra Lee's here. Let's see who else here. Yeah. A lot of chat going on already. Gene says, "Oh, Paul, this has been a problem there for about 7 years now. 2 years ago, chased a neighbor woman through the woods, stopped to maul a shoe and sock she lost, so she got to my sister's place and was safe." Let's see, we got Strangeland here. Welcome. Aotearoa, cryptids, keep aura to all the usual suspects, he says. See who else here. He says, Paul, yeah, or Miss Lee, I was a resident MI6 agent. BMI6? Let's see, he says, if I call my brother, he's going to check for a local hunter with a permit to shoot it, and I will let him hunt here on the property, but we have tried that for 3 years. He is a smart one. I'm not entirely sure what conversation's going on there, but let's see. Brandy's here. Welcome. Strange that said didn't know about channel Paul. Yeah, people are starting to hear about it. Mr. Lee's been promoting pretty heavy in some places, I noticed. So I figured start with talking crap on people who think all these magical things about Bigfoot a little bit, and then we can go wherever you want with the conversation, depending on what kind of questions you ask. It's interesting how a lot of people, they come to the end of the tracks, right? And they think that this Bigfoot just disappeared, instead of thinking that they, maybe you lost the trail. You could have just lost the trail. It could be something really, really simple. But instead, they think, they jumped through a portal or some crazy shit. What are some of the, so I thought, well, gosh, all this stuff sounds like it's just magic stuff, and you got Harry Henderson over here, so maybe he's really Harry Potter. He can wave his magic wand. Maybe the tracks disappeared because he jumped on his broom, or maybe you need to look around and touch some of the rocks or something. Maybe one of those is a port key. Now, those of you who haven't watched the Harry Potter movies are probably going to be very confused. But I think more than likely that the people who have come to the end of the trail, maybe they just lost the trail. You know, maybe that's it. And they don't want to admit it, or they think they're the greatest tracker ever or something, and they couldn't have possibly lost the trail. But they certainly could have. People think that they use infrasound. Now, that's not too crazy, but then some people think it's more of a magical thing. So I'm imagining Harry Potter, the Bigfoot, using the stupefy curse on people, or you know, I don't know. It could be anything. There's the Cafundo curse that confuses people, that kind of stuff. You know, instead of just maybe you got confused, maybe you are a little overheated and you're a little disoriented, and that's just it. There's nothing mystical going on necessarily, but a lot of people like to jump right onto the magical stuff because that's what they want to believe. Let's see. That's a movement, isn't it? Cryptid says, Brandy in the house, how you doing? She got her coffee. Fresh bottle of rum, hey? Let's see. Some whiskey talk going on here. I had a devotee of Dr. Quack Johnson tell me God brought the Zandu people here to Earth by a portal before the dinosaurs. Oh, man. Yeah, that guy's story is absolutely, it's got to be one of the most whacked out ones. You know, why is he even bothering with alien planets or portals, or why does he even talk about dinosaurs? Why didn't he just say God created them? Why does he say these other riches? Miss Lee says, I watched In the Moon. Then says, I've watched all their movies. Yeah, I'm trying to pop these comments up, but they're not working very good, y'all. Let's see. Sarah's asking what Mr. Lee thought. You're a wizard, Eric. A wizard? Yeah. Why don't they just go ahead and say it? The Sasquatch are wizards. Randy says, I saw you, Harry and Henderson, pick on a thumbnail. Remember the very end when they said goodbye to all this Bigfoot you couldn't see? Voila, cloaking behind the trees. Yeah, they're just camouflage good enough and stand still. And, and that's just way more likely than they jump through a portal or whatever other crazy stuff people come up with. Portals would be cool. It would be so awesome if portals were real. And I entertain the I think there may be some possibility for it, but I ain't pushing portals. No, because there's not enough science to jump on that. And we haven't. You would think we would have discovered some other kind of creature that could pop through a portal, But it just so happens that this creature that we haven't discovered at all, really, truly, jumps through portals, according to some people. Gene says, I'm still trying to figure out how they know they're Nephilim. Yeah. They want them to be Nephilim. They want that to be the truth. So they'll grab on to anything that confirms their bias. To try and make it sound good. It's just, there's some good salesmen out there, basically just salesmen pushing the story that they're Nephilim. Something that, I don't see any evidence ever existed in the first place. So, Brandy asked, ever look up the definition of Zen? And I don't think I have. Terry says, the large circular black object sucking plasma out of the sun was far out. Oh, you're talking about the aliens on the moon? Brandy says, Lockbeard just glitched. Wreck-It Ralph over here breaking the internet. Yeah, I can tell my internet's being a little more finicky tonight. Aotearoa Cryptids says, I don't think they are Nephilim, Gene and Brandy. There are ancient texts that speak of these beings thousands of years before that biblical narrative. Yeah. Well, and a lot of the stuff in the Bible, can be found in older teachings, older religions, and they just kind of ignore that it's very clear that pretty much everything in there came out of older writings. And if we go far enough back, we may find that the truth is it's really just talk about normal people and normal things, and it just got elevated to these more fantastical things, just like the game of telephone. You whisper something in someone's ear, they whisper it in another person's ear, and as it goes around the room and it comes back to you, it's a totally different story, or maybe not totally, but very different, and possibly very crazy. Sandra says, I'm breaking up. I don't know what I could do to fix that. I'll try that. So every peak hours right now. Paul Tavares says, I believe First Nations histories before some other outlets. They were way more efficient and spiritual than us white eyes, in my opinion. Yeah, some of their stories seem pretty believable, but like this one tribe up here, not that their territory is not too far from where I'm at. Like if you believe all their stories, like, all right, this is what their creation story, I can't remember it exactly, but something about there was nothing but water, and there's this massive turtle, and then there was, I think, a toad or a salamander. Some kind of amphibian dived down to the bottom of the water, got a mouthful of dirt, and spit it on the shell of the turtle, and thus created the world. I'm not going to go along with that particular story. Michael Hayward's here. Hello. Welcome. Cryptid says that was wild. Mystery, that disk was estimated to be larger than the Earth. Hmm. If there was some kind of disk big enough to block the sun from view of the Earth, it would have to, anywhere in between the Earth and the sun, it would have to be bigger than the Earth, just, geometrically speaking. I mean, I think there's a point where it wouldn't have to be, but the closer it gets to the sun, the bigger it's got to be. So, Gene says, I know they are flesh and blood, and I think they use parts of their brains that we don't after becoming civilized. Yeah, we're definitely going to experience some detriment. Well, we already are. I mean, the kind of math I used to do in my head, um, people today, a lot of them can't seem to do it, So, like if I'm going through a drive-through and, I gotta, you hand them a 20 and they'll just punch in the 20. They don't automatically know in their head what the change is going to be. So sometimes I'll give them some change to make it match out somehow to get back more what I want. I mean, if my total's 1027 and I give them a 20 with 2 pennies, they'll just be like, what the fuck is this? Why you give me 2 pennies? Well, I'm giving you 2 pennies back because I want 3/4 of change. I don't want more pennies, and I use a lot and stuff. The quarters are more useful to me than more pennies, and I got pennies. Look, just punch it in the damn register and just give me what it tells you. And that's not. It amazes me that I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we're definitely seeing. It's a use it or lose it situation, I guess, for that. But what's going to be the multi-generational effect? Selective breeding. Where is it going to lead the human race? Are we truly breeding ourselves down? And then if we do it too much and too much of the population becomes a little dumber and a little weaker, and one day we're met with a serious challenge that we are no longer capable of handling, could it cause our extinction? So, yeah. Yeah, there's some stories. That's huge, man. Wow. I'm talking about that disc. Let's see. Mr. Lee said, should we rely on personal observations and encounters as evidence that Sasquatch exists? Well, I think that can be reasonable. It's reasonable evidence for you personally to an extent. Because if you tell me your story, I don't know, were you hallucinating? Was someone pulling a hoax on you and you didn't catch it? Were you just mistaken? I mean, did you just think you saw a person in the woods, but it was just pareidolia, or was it some other animal and you just somehow mistook it? Maybe you were looking at something from behind and it looked like a human-shaped figure with hair, but it was something else. I mean, I have there's no way to verify that you saw what you think you saw. Um, so it doesn't really make the evidence pull. we need physical evidence, because even film is going to be questioned at this point. The Patterson Gimlin footage, they didn't have the costuming ability back then. They didn't have the CGI. We have that stuff now. Like, I'm pretty certain that if I was inclined to make one and was willing to sink money into making one, I could make a fake film of a Bigfoot, with a big enough actor. I know a guy that I think would be perfect, actually. He's way too big for a normal human. He's not. He's way bigger than a normal human. Yeah, we could. It would look totally convincing. Everyone would buy it. And I almost want to do it one of these days, just to show people, and then of course I would never try to pass it off as real. I'd say, I might at first say, "What do you think?" and then just tell everybody, "Look, that's completely fake, and this is how we did it." And that would help us be prepared for others who are actually trying to fake this kind of stuff, because it's probably going to happen. It probably has happened. So at this point, film probably not going to cut it either. So eyewitness counts, no. Film, pictures, no. We need physical evidence to back it up, I think. Even then, there's going to be a lot of people that they're just not willing to hear it. It's too far out there. They can't deal with anything that challenges their normal worldview, and they will go into flat out denial, even if they're standing right there next to the body. Well, y'all faked that. Well, we got the scientists here looking at the blood. They've coded the DNA. You can see the internal organs and the blood drying on the trailer here. Yeah, nope, y'all can fake all of that, and the scientist is lying. You will have some of those. So we're in this so deep now that's we need serious evidence if we want to prove that they're real, and at least get the majority of people to accept it. Script that says, yes, Gene, definitely flesh and blood with either advanced abilities or extraterrestrial tech. We really don't know. Yeah, speculating at this point. If Mr. Lee had a personal encounter, wouldn't you want to be believed? Gene says. Brandy says, in my opinion, I can only go off what I personally experienced, but I won't say, hey, such and such is lying. Yes, we have liars. Yes, we have hoaxers, but we also have numerous people seeing something. Yeah. Yeah, we can't say all the witnesses are liars. But what we can say is that, unfortunately, eyewitness evidence is not going to be enough. And I think we can all agree that Dr. Johnson was lying his ass off. Yeah. Paul says he believes in God absolutely, but I think more the stories of wood people, perhaps their term for Sasquatch. Not absolutely confident that that's true, but it's my perception. I could be wrong. Yeah. Brandy says, right, Miss Lee, and some seek the community out to tell their story. There has to be a certain level of support for these people. Yeah. Yeah. The only problem is it opens us up to the hoaxers and the liars and all that. There's no easy solution to that. How do you sort them out? You know, I don't know. I mean, the stories that are ridiculous enough, like Dr. Johnson's, well, that's not too hard, right? There's no way. There's no way all that insanity is true. You know, what was the part of it where somehow they needed him to operate the portal for them to get the last of their people from their planet? As I recall, it's been a long time since I saw him telling his fable. Cryptid says, I was at a bar. I ordered 2 drinks costing $22. I handed the young lady a 50, and she had to use a calculator to work out the change. Whoa! There wasn't even wasn't even coins involved. Yeah, they don't know how. They don't. They've been letting machines do it too much. They don't know. They don't know how. See, and this is so irritating to me because I feel like the education system it has some blame here. Because I would get in trouble for not showing my work, you know, because teachers and instructors, they give you, you know, problems to work out, and if I could do it in my head, I didn't look. I had better shit to do, right? And I was capable of doing this kind of stuff in my head, so I would just write the answer, and she'd be like, "No, go back and work it out." I'm like, shouldn't you be helping me work on improving this ability instead of wasting my time on tedium that now these other students might need that, but so what's the result? They can't do shit in their head. I think that they should have been teaching the other students to be able to do it in their head. If my dumb ass over here can do this in my head, then they can learn to do it too. The reason why I think a lot of them weren't, not all of them, but I think a lot of them is because they weren't trying themselves. They, you know, they weren't being trained to. They weren't being encouraged to. Oh, write it out. Do the steps. Well, if you always do the steps, then you will need to do the steps. You'll always need to do the steps. Teach them to do it in their head. But calculators and, you know, cash registers, they do the math for you. So, she was blonde, huh? Oh boy. Gonna have some blonde jokes coming up if I get down this chat, ain't I? And ain't is a word. It is a word in Oklahoma. I don't know about other states, but Bigfoot Non's in the house. Sandra says I was a mathematics major and taught algebra. I was lucky if students could multiply or divide. Yeah. Yeah. Once the output joined my normal math equations, I gave up. You know, part of the problem with that is, you know, they take a cookie cutter approach in the public schools. I mean, not always, but for the most part, they do. You know, the teacher stands up and explains it just one way. Different students, their brains work differently, and anything's explained to them in different ways. So, you know, that's where I feel like there's way too many teachers that don't have enough passion for their job to try to figure that stuff out. And you know, and maybe you know maybe eventually we could work towards some kind of testing that kind of tells us what kind of learning this kid responds to most. Now, that doesn't mean we leave the other out, because we need to train them to learn to understand things explained in other ways, but getting them to understand the concept, you know, you got to know how to get it in their head to start with. And so, like, I had different types of teachers couldn't teach me It depended on it depended on the teacher. And the problem, like with an algebra, is like a lot of times a coach will get saddled with something like algebra. Now that dude, I guarantee you, he has no passion for teaching algebra. But if he wants to be a coach, he's required to teach something, and so a lot of times they get saddled with something like that. That's not the person you want teaching kids. Nothing against them. I'm just saying you need to have people that have a passion for it. Let's see. Yeah, I've heard that more than you could know. Yeah. Yeah, and in the past, once I got the concept, I'll play around with math, and love it. But in the beginning, when I was trying to learn it from a coach or something, or teacher wasn't able to explain it to me, he just said the same thing twice, trying to get me to understand. So, but once I get it, I'm like, I kind of like it. But yeah. Brandy says, that's why I asked if anyone has ever looked up the definition of Xanu. Google define Xanu, poor Doc gets crucified, called one of the most dangerous people. I'm not sure. Can't we apply the rule of innocent until proven guilty? I believe there's a reason not to. I think we can all pick out the obvious BS. Yeah. $27 bill. Yeah. I'm trying to remember that situation. Where somebody was trying to use a $2 bill to buy something, and the who he was trying to give it to thought it was fake, and there was this whole thing, whole issue about it, and he was like, dude, don't you know $2 bills exist? Brandy says, I really hate to discard a person and their experiences simply because some people can't take that as evidence. Yeah. We don't want to. We can't assume people are lying too quickly. But I just want to be able to question them. Don't you think that maybe you could be mistaken? This could be a misidentification. Now, someone was face to face with them within, 10 feet or something, and it was like no mistaking it. That's pretty good encounter. But even then, I'm going to be skeptical. I don't know this person, so I don't know if they're full of shit or not. Because it says in today's society, the cancel culture is guilty until proven guilty, unfortunately. And cancel culture, yeah. There some days lately, I feel like that whole cancel culture thing is on the decline. But then other times some shit will happen again. But like, I'm amazed that almost all of my live streams so far haven't been taken down because of some of the stuff that I've talked about. Things that they were taking people down for. They didn't want anybody to talk about 5G and the dangers of that. And, of course, they've already done damage. If I start saying to someone that 5G does have dangers, they immediately start thinking I'm some tinfoil hat crazy person. What are you going to do? Well, I mean, all those frequencies have some level of effect on biological themes. But yeah, devil's advocate tonight. You go right ahead. Mr. Lee 3PO says, are cast imprints, photos, video footage, DNA samples, personal observations, and encounter stories all useless without a Sasquatch specimen? Well, I mean, DNA samples is physical evidence. I think, if we got a number of geneticists who analyze this, say, look, this is some kind of hominid, and it's definitely not a normal human, then I'm happy with that for the most part. I have problems with certain areas of science, but geneticists really haven't managed to trip my bullshit meter, because it's pretty simple. I mean, they're dealing with one. When you break it down, they're dealing with one freaking molecule, which amounts to a molecular language. And a language with only 4 letters in it. It's not, how can you screw that up once you just learn how to read and write the language? And, but, yeah, DNA samples I'd be happy with, but a lot of people wouldn't be. They don't understand DNA. I mean, I've had people say stuff to me about genetics because they think they know what they're talking about, but they just don't. And there's a lot of that where people think they know what they're talking about and they don't. So that makes things hard. Cast and prints, I mean, yeah, that's evidence. We got now. I mean, something had to leave the footprint, right? Something had to leave the track. So as long as we can be certain enough that we can tell when they're fake and when they're not. Hopefully someone like Meldrum has a handle on it enough that we can trust his judgment whether a track is real or not. But just like movie costumes can be faked, I mean, a track would be kind of simple in comparison. If someone were to, they would have to be really trying. They would have to, besides constructing a fake set of feet, and they would have to be able to apply an adequate amount of pressure to simulate the amount of weight, because that's a whole another issue there. You got to have enough. The prints got to go deep enough. So, footprints is one of the things that's fairly well convinced me that they are actually out there. But personal observations, I don't know any of these people making these claims. So while stories are interesting, I try to file those away over. They're stories. They're just stories. They don't prove anything to me. While also recognizing that a lot of those stories probably are true and accurately described. I don't know which ones are. That's the problem. So I can't accept it as evidence because I can't verify it. So that's a problem. What else? Got video footage. Yeah, I mean, video footage could be real, but how do I verify that it's real? That's my problem. Yeah, back it all up. Back it all up. Yeah, and that's the problem. Sometimes science gets tainted. someone doesn't want to destroy their career by diving into something so controversial. Or scientists have been bought off. We know scientists have been bought off for other areas of science. I don't know about this one, but they have. And there's probably some cases where a scientist was making a case for a hypothesis that turned out to be wrong, and because it was wrong, tried to hide it because he didn't want to be known to have been wrong for 20 years. I know Dr. Meldrum is all about the tracks, but surely he has colleagues that would get involved with the DNA. Has he ever tried to get deeper into this than just prints? I don't know. Again, back to the Harry and Henderson movie. They had those heavy fake feet making tracks to confuse the hunter. Did they in the movie? It's been a long time since I've seen the movie. I don't recall. Some reason I don't remember that part. As far as people telling their stories, I would much rather hear it from the person who experienced it than someone else reading the encounter. Actually hearing it recounted is different. Yeah. It goes back to that game of telephone thing. The person, a secondhand story, the words are going to be changed. You're not going to see expressions on their face that match the experience. You're not going to hear tone of voice. So it's not near as valuable as actually hearing the witness tell their encounter themselves. And I don't want to necessarily scare off people from telling their encounters, but I also don't want it to be easy for any crazy person or liar to pop up and just tell whatever insanity they want to tell. So, the people out there that are afraid of scaring off experiencers from telling their stories, maybe it can be taken too far, trying to be too nice about it, not willing to ask them challenging questions. Maybe the people that are going to get scared off from telling their stories easier, maybe we just don't need their stories. Maybe we need to not worry about those particular stories as much as we need to be worrying about physical evidence. So Drake C's in the house. Tom Paul Cajun's in the house. Bigfoot on. I'll be on Bigfoot Odyssey this week. Should be dope, he says. Well, have fun. Yeah, have fun. So, yeah, I don't know. I could say that, I feel like I've forgotten stuff. I feel like I've forgotten a lot of stuff. I don't know. I can't explain it. Like, I think I've experienced stuff that I forgot. I can't prove that. I'm not gonna insist that it's real. It just could be, whatever. Harry Potter, the Sasquatch used the Obliviate spell on me or some shit. Bunch of highs going on here. Tom Paul says, Sandra, hope you're feeling well. Bigfoot and On says, what's up, Cajun boss? So, yeah. So something that come up recently was orbs. You know, people see these orbs and they see Bigfoot in the same area, and they assume that Bigfoot and orbs are connected. But there's, you know, where's the evidence for them being connected? Did Harry Potter Sasquatch use the Expecto Patronum charm on you? Is that the Sasquatch Patronus? You know, so I'm just not. I'm not going to just accept people's stories and claims of that without evidence. Strangeness says, I'm going to be on a show in a couple of weeks. Video and pics included. Some strange things to show people. Well, hopefully you have some good stuff. Look forward to it. Show. I guess Drake and Tom Paul are neighbors. What's up, everybody? So what else? The disillusionment charm. You can hide stuff from people. Maybe that's why they hide so well. The disillusionment charm. I think he's just camouflaged really well, but whatever. Lockbeard, he does. Strangeland has amazing videos and pics. Cool. I mean, hopefully we can see some clear images of Sasquatch. Strange says pics and video. Paul T has seen some stuff. I solemnly swear I'm up to no good. Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's what we need. We need that map because it'll show big footprints on the map. We'll see big footprints on the map up until the part where he uses Wingardium Leviosa. And I mean, can the map see when you're not actually got your feet on the ground? I don't know. Jake C says he's from South Louisiana, South New Orleans. Yeah. Those are pretty good movies. I mean, they brought the world of the Harry Potter world to life pretty good. The sailor said that LOL. Let's see. Tom says, Lockbeard, do you think all the information we get is bullshit? No, not all of it, I don't think. But how do we know? How do we know which is BS and which isn't? And that's my problem. You know, how do I know? How do I know if a video is a fake? I mean, I'm certain that someone can make a fake so convincing that no one would be able to tell that it's not real. Randy says she loves the Potter movies. Okay. Born in New Orleans. Yeah. Maybe, so what else? What other kind of magic do they do? The Evanesco makes objects vanish. Maybe they use that on them. You know, there is the hominem revelio that allows you to detect people. So maybe they use that to figure out when you're in the area. Right? They're magic. They're all magic, right? Or maybe they just heard you drive in, or they heard you walk in, or talking, your footsteps, whatever. I think that's most likely. Oh man, I don't know. You know, in science fiction and fantasy and stuff, usually there's, you know, light and some swirling something going on or whatever. Possibly in reality, it'd be a mostly invisible. It'd be an invisible thing. Because I'm thinking in terms of, you know, the fields, magnetic fields, and you know, uh, eddies in the currents, kind of thing. It might create something like that, but we don't have enough science to show that kind of thing. It's enough. There's enough that makes me feel like it's still a possibility, but I'm not going to latch onto it. John Paul Cajun says it's all bullshit. Tracy, he says, like a fake president. Yeah. I don't know if any of them are real for decades. Paul says, Brandy, a fictional hallway to another place through time, allegedly. Description of a portal. Hello, everyone from D-Berg. Now, portal-wise, like where there's some kind of time issue, right? Where, I mean, I wonder if there can be, because a magnetic field, there's differences in how fast time passes in different places in a magnetic field. So what if, you know, the field of the Earth, there's you know, occurrences of, you know, because the magnetic field, you know, processes around, you know, it's not just a static thing. It's not quantifiable at all. That's why quantum physics has a, you know, hard time. Quantum physics is all about quantifying everything. They want to quantify everything. The problem is you can't quantify a field. And since everything in the universe is basically made of fields, there's a point at which you can't quantify shit. Like, you can go over in that field and count how many cows there are. That was important for humans living in this reality for survival. But when you start getting down to the minuscule, trying to figure out what the hell's going on there, you're going to come across an increasingly inability to throw math at it and say and describe it. You can't quantify a field. You just can't. But you know, part of it's because there's shit like that. It has effects on time. So if you could have some kind of vortex form, you know, maybe it's just temporary, maybe it goes on for centuries, and someone kind of walks into something like that, and we go out there and we search for this missing person, and we can't find them. There's no trace, and they disappeared. You know, well, if you start looking at that field theory, and instead of thinking along the line of mainstream science to try and understand something that might have happened to them, why would a person just completely vanish without a trace? Dogs can't find a scent and all that shit. Well, what if they got slipped, sometime into the future? You know, they got because if you think about it, if time's passing at any other rate, you probably, for an individual standing over here, you probably aren't going to be able to perceive them at all. They're in a totally different time. Um, they're going faster. Going in reverse, not possible. That's ridiculousness from sci-fi. But going faster than someone else, going at different rates of speed forward, that's within the realm of possibility. So I think that there might be some cases that people got accelerated. The time around them, they stepped into a zone where time was accelerated. They got sent forward to someplace years later, and they were, the searchers are gone, right? So they're not looking for the person anymore, and maybe the person can't get out because experiencing that kind of phenomenon does great harm to you or even kills you. So then years later, someone goes out there and finds the bones, right? And they're like, well, we searched this place over and over again. Why are there bones here? Well, I'm kind of wondering if we get isotopic age dating, radiometric dating. Most people know the term carbon-14 age dating. That's just one type of radiometric age dating. But if we get really good at that maybe if we look at those remains, we'll be able to tell. And this is probably in the future. We'll be good enough with this. We'll be able to tell that, okay, it's been 14 years since that kid disappeared, but these bones show that they've only experienced 6 years. Well, that would tell us that somehow that person jumped 8 years, or 8 years. So take that for what you want. I'm not. It's stuff that most people probably haven't even considered or heard of, or whatever. But something possible. Mr. Lee says, our purpose formed special operations units carrying out Sasquatch callings. I wish I knew for sure. There's the stories out there, people saying they've seen that. And I've said before that that's definitely something that if it's happening, I'm definitely not cool with that. That's not cool if they're doing that. But like a lot of this stuff, we have no evidence whatsoever that it's actually happening other than eyewitness accounts. Which is not, it's just, I need more. Tracy Bennett in the house. Brandy brings up stupefy. Yeah. Stuns the victim. So that might be the infrasound people think they're experiencing. If Harry Potter Bigfoot's what we're going with. I am from the city of Bridges, she says. Strangeland says, I have over 4,000 pics and say over 50 gigs of video. Thing is, some stuff disappears. When I use security cam, I can see something. Then I go back. It says camera disconnected, but I already had it copied. I copied it. When I use security cam, I can see something. I go back and it says camera disconnected, but I already had it copied. Let me see. That's pretty interesting, Does somebody have access to your cameras without you knowing? You know, I put myself in the mind of the people controlling all this shit. If I wanted to maintain absolute control over things, and I would make sure that any companies making any kind of camera install in it without you knowing. All cameras have a way to link up to satellite, and the footage to be reviewed by, you know, some AI, and then anything strange put in front of the eyes of actual people, and then we could go in and we could make shit disappear that we don't want people to see. That's some extreme conspiracy stuff, but you know, if it was very important for me to keep something secret, then, and with unlimited resources like they got, I mean, they could just print the damn money. So who's to say they aren't doing that kind of stuff? Tom Paul says, what I've seen cannot be explained. Well, I don't know, man. Maybe you just don't know what the explanation for it is. But there is an explanation. Or, I mean, is it remotely possible that you hallucinated something, or you were mistaken as to what you saw? Just saying, just, you know, everything's got to have an explanation. We just don't know it yet in a lot of cases. Strange, did you catch some portals? Brandy asked. Paul says, I am from Arsenal Crack of Massachusetts. Yes, he says, yes, he's got some. Brandy says, I'm asking because I personally have taken photos from multiple people's footage, multiple states, and they all have one thing in common: circular in shape and a spiral light at the center. Who knows? Paul got pics out of Master and Paula. Paul says, I failed hooked on phonics, but a scholar of hydroponics. All right. The DA in Boston, something conspiracy going on. Paul says, oh, Brandy, they are here. I know I haven't seen her stuff in the woods cross street late night. Deer, maybe, but if it is, they're huge. Strangeland says, I think chat's going. Took a video, frog on my step, not realizing until later that it was a cracking sound, and flashed above me on the step, moved like a cartoon, one piece of paper, black gargoyle type creature, short legs. Huh. There's a being we dubbed the portal jumper because the thing was always popping up out of those circular looking areas, and even straight up window in the sky once. Yeah, Tracy, you know one of the cases I'm thinking about. Well, I think there's been multiple ones, as I recall. And the pareidolia word, if I spelled it wrong, oh well. No, you spelled it right. Sure, that's a thing, but what about capturing movement? Does pareidolia, smile, blink, stick out of tongue? Yeah, I mean, that would be some indications that we're dealing with more than pareidolia. For sure, my dog knows Brandy, my lad. I've had Achaeos used to flip out at times, staring across the street when noises happen. So yeah, I am. I'm certified. There's a static like look to the air when I notice different energies moving. Mark on live wires had some of this fog-like moving energy ball going across his land. As soon as I saw it, I knew. Yeah, I remember that footage. Joe was up in here. Welcome. Brandy says, I say, don't call crazy people crazy. Yeah, it's not going to get you anything but more crazy, right? Yeah. My papers prove it. My shrink has a folder about me. He says it's a monthly subscription with Nest Cam. Nest is a popular brand. Okay, so it's linked up to the internet as part of the service. Yeah, which means somebody can access it besides you. And it sounds like they may have. Let's see. Strangeland says lots of lights, UFO stuff, colored, strange, changing animal faces, changing into human, etc., floating above the street. It's all video. Some stuff I got disturbing, so I shut stuff down for over 8 months. Huh. Strangeland says I have to be careful as what to keep location hidden, as I don't want it affecting people around me. Yeah. Brandy wants me to come to the dark side. You want me to, so what do you mean, like to believe in portals? I mean, I'm fairly certain some kind of phenomena can exist, but it's based on, you know, field theory science, you know, not quantum physics, not standard mainstream bullshit. But it has a scientific explanation behind it. But the problem is I need evidence, and that it really is occurring. So I don't know, but speculatively, it would. I can accept the possibility that portals of some kind can form, maybe some kind of disturbance, and that maybe that disturbance isn't able to act so much like a nice portal that you step through like Stargate and you come out just fine. Maybe it's something far more destructive, and so when humans get walk into one without knowing, they don't know how to navigate it without dying. But maybe there's entities that do know how to navigate these, or maybe they have some quality about their physical or metaphysical body that that allows them to navigate such a disturbance without getting harmed. Maybe they evolved specifically to be able to do that. Sure. Need more evidence, though. Need more evidence. Paul says, cool kids got bounce, got a shower, hit rack new ships, got autopilot, take care, y'all. Catch what I missed later. Enjoy, great stuff, LOCKBEARD. Thanks, Paul. See you later. Yep, woo it up. Well, I mean, some of the stuff, I mean, I talk about sounds woo, you know. Like I've talked about before, I mean, I generally think of myself as an atheist because, you know, the way the universe works is totally scientifically explained, right? Except for where the ether comes from. But the problem with other atheists is they tell me I'm not an atheist because if I describe enough to them, they start hearing about this metaphysical side of the coin, which there's plenty of evidence for. I mean, there's plenty of of anyway, and it makes sense, and it creates a explanation for reality that doesn't need grand unification like mainstream sciences. They keep looking for grand unification and they can't find it because they're wrong. They got too much wrong, and they're trying every time they try to fix every little hole in their ship they've built, and so they're throwing all kinds of math at it, and they got a particle collider going on over here, smashing stuff together that they think are particles, but they're not. And then every time they see some kind of reaction from that, they're like, look, we discovered a new particle. What a mess. And of course, that's spooking some people, because some people think they're going to accidentally create a black hole and destroy the freaking world. No. They can't create a black hole and destroy the freaking world. They don't even know what the fuck they're doing, other than wasting a whole lot of money playing with things that they don't even know what they are. Okay, it's just, hey, they got all the PhDs though, so whatever. You could take this or leave it. I'm not good at explaining all this stuff, but yeah, you start talking, because I mean the coin's probably a good thing to use, because look, you got heads and tails on the coin, right? Well, it's still one. It's just a coin. It's one thing. The physical and the metaphysical are one thing, but because this gets off into some weird ass science that most mainstream people aren't even willing to hear. The moment you tell them that Einstein was wrong, and they're not listening to you anymore, because this society worships at the altar of Einstein, and he's not the person to listen to. I mean, he's not around anymore, but he's no. You need to look more at people like Tesla. A lot of people have heard about Tesla, Steinmetz, Heaviside. The people that were on the right track, not Einstein, who stole. There's books about Einstein's shit that he stole. Okay, he stole ideas and they weren't even right. Anyway, so yeah, that's getting a little bit of woo, but I ain't talking magic. And I mean, I don't like the word spirits because it carries this connotation, this magical connotation. But that's the only thing people really know it by: ghosts, spirits, souls. That's the only thing they know it by, and I don't even know what to call the things that I'm talking about. I don't have a word other than to say consciousness, but how to explain that, quantum entanglements, how they kind of describe the instantaneous communication across vast distances that violates their limit on the speed limit on the universe, right? Well, quantum entanglement completely destroys that, doesn't it? But what it does show is that they're starting to figure out. So there's observations they're making that they can't deny, and they're just interpreting things wrong. What you have is instantaneous interconnectivity of every point in the universe, which constitutes a vast neural network, an infinite neural network, a mind, a consciousness of such great power that the damn thing doesn't even probably, it knows we are here as much as we know that a germ is living in our gut. We don't perceive it. We know it's there. We know it's there because of science, but we can't feel it. We can't see it, And I think that consciousness is even more detached from us. We're just a little package of that consciousness. So That's getting some woo, isn't it? I better stop. I can't autopilot. Sailing while intoxicated. I would recommend that. Scott Carpenter filmed The Portal. I mean, the films are interesting. I mean, it's just proving what they are and what the true nature is, and authenticating the film that it wasn't something that was faked and all that. Strangeness says I have video of a portal between two trees. It's not always there, but it has a cloudy look. Sometimes you can see shapes and views of a different background and strange beings looking out. So it seems to be a stationary phenomenon. I call it the giant doorway. It's massive. You're agnostic. Yeah. The atheists think that because I acknowledge a metaphysical aspect of the universe, even though it's completely with scientific explanation, they say that makes me not atheist. You know, and I'm guessing that's just because they can't accept an alternative scientific explanation. They won't even look at the alternative explanation because, you know, I guess they don't want to waste their time. They don't want to think. They're brainwashed to believe without question quantum physicists. They want to watch Stephen Hawking drooling in his chair saying all kinds of crazy shit. And there's no proof of any of that, or most, you know. There's a lot of good observations behind some stuff, but the interpretations are so often crazy land. It's unbelievable, man. And people have to accept it because they don't know, like, string theory. What's that? You know, they don't really, like, they might watch a documentary, but they're never going to really understand what these guys are talking about, and because, you know, they don't have time to really sit and think and figure this out, and they just don't have time. I'm not even saying they don't have the ability. I'm just saying they don't have time. It takes time to learn stuff, to truly learn stuff. A documentary doesn't do any subject any justice. But Strange says I didn't believe this stuff till things started to happen. Sasquatch doesn't control orbs. There's a lot of energy and L-type beings that are part of our land. This I have a ton of stuff on. Joe says my older sister who goes to church every Sunday always tells me I'm not an atheist. I am. I think it's just wishful thinking on her part. Yeah, a lot of people, religious people, they just can't live with it because in their mind you're going to go to hell, and they don't want to deal with that. I don't know what to do to ease their mind. You can't. They're convinced that you're going to hell. So, Strangeland says I have orbs flying in the window closed, red color, blue, etc. Flies around the room and back out. There are a ton of fucking blizzard stuff going on. I look out the window and bushes and trees bounce branches. And see, that sounds like, you know, with the movement, it might still be a physical or a metaphysical phenomena, not even, but it could be something that's alive. It could be a form of life. But God, you know, and we may never have the ability to figure out any true. I mean, you can get it on film, but, you know, evidence to tell us anything about it. Brandy says, strange, you ever see the fairies, or at least they damn sure look like fairies. Strange, and I've sat on this stuff for years and watched and learned from it. Some stuff is action and time. Rand, maybe a simulation or other stuff totally random, very interesting. Brandy, there's fairies, and I have what looks like actual fairy beings. The shape as it moves leaves that shape as a clear energy trail. Color and motion leaves imprints in certain conditions. See, and another thought I have about some of the things people see that doesn't, you can't seem to physically, it's something that don't seem physical. Well, what if it's an after image from something that happened in that same location at another time? Maybe nothing physical came through, but maybe there's enough energy or something got bumped forward in time and you're seeing something from the past, Brandy says, I'm surprised I haven't seen you on my and Paula's channel yet, Strange. It's nice to have people to talk to about similar things. Strange says, I haven't spoke of this much of this, but we need to understand and respect knowing we are not the only beings on this beautiful planet. Joe says, well, if I'm going to hell, I'll bring the beer and weed and meet all my friends there. Yeah, I've already reservations. Got a penthouse waiting on me. Tracy said, religion is a belief. A person is spiritual. It's what they do with their religion and apply it to their life. Yeah. Trying to describe what I think we really are would take some doing. The worst thing we could do is get all freaking orthodox and we don't need witch trials, inquisitions, holy wars, jihads. We don't need that kind of shit. Just let people believe what the fuck they want to believe and leave each other alone. But so clearly what we experience every day is a physical meat puppet that we got here. Mainstream science, seems to lean towards the idea that consciousness is generated in the brain. I think there's kind of a combo going on, really. All right, we're probably gonna get some woo going here. I don't know. It's gonna sound like woo, because I'm not gonna be able to explain well enough. But what I think we are, we like the brain acts as like your radio does. You tune the dial, it picks up stations, it picks up frequencies, and your consciousness, some people would call this a soul or a spirit, is a piece of the universe's consciousness. It's just a certain frequencies that your brain just happens to pick up for whatever reason. How that happens, how it decides which ones is you. I even have the question of, what if someone else's brain picks up the same frequencies as mine? Are they the same person, the same spiritual entity that I am from some regard? That's crazy, but they think they're someone else. So that being said, how we got our brain, we got conscious and subconscious and all that. How things, like sometimes you're not paying attention, like I'll be driving and I don't remember making some of the drive. I was on autopilot of some kind. So I think there is, as a matter of survival of the physical body, there's some kind of autopilot, I think. And so there's an onboard consciousness, right? That is generated because the brain, again, is a neural network, just like the universe is a neural network. It's just part of the nature. Smaller things tend to emulate the geometry of the larger things, and so on. The fractal aspect of things. So there is an onboard consciousness, I think. That's just there. It's not the primary consciousness, though. It's there to just kind of keep you from dying when maybe there is a little fluctuation. Your signal's not coming in very strong, or you're just your attention's elsewhere. You're thinking about something and your attention's elsewhere. But so I think that that's what that's there for. It's not really uh, it's not really something. It's not really you. It's just your autopilot. It's part of the reason why you don't really remember it. But you can use it as a tool. You can program your subconscious and hopefully generate some behaviors that you want to have. Now, and the water molecule is another thing. Like life has water in it, and it needs to be connected to those same signals out there, right? It something about water is connected with consciousness. It may be just the way the molecule is designed. I mean, it's just that water just happened to be that design, which, there's a million other molecules out there, but water just happened to be the one that's shaped the right way or designed the right way to be able to hold memory and to behave as an antenna for consciousness. Now, they've done some actual science. I can't remember the scientist's name, where they showed that thought and stuff can be imprinted and affect how water behaves. They've pretty much started to prove this stuff. It sounds wacky, but all it is recording information and picking up signals and stuff. So the water has something to do with as an antenna of consciousness for you as well. This gets into part of the reason, not the only reason, why we see stuff like when someone gets an organ transplant and then the person that receives the organ exhibits some of the behavioral traits of the other person, or they might start to get some memories that aren't theirs. I mean, there's some weird shit going on with that. And it's all woo and magic and all that to most people when they hear about it. But to me, it's just part of the science of how the damn universe works. It's all signals. You can't stop the signal, Mal. For those of you that watched the Firefly TV show and Serenity movie, you can't stop the signal. This explains why life uses water, even if it's a very little amount of water. Everything uses water that's alive. So I don't know how far down that rabbit hole I want to go, but residual haunting, yeah, that's how a lot of people explain it. Said something similar to that. Strange on the moving branches, I can go just about anywhere and look at trees and they react to me. I've seen a trail of moving bushes, etc. run, same as someone running through, but no one there. Brandy says, well, here is where I come to the decision not to dismiss things. I do the follow-up filming. I go back, check the areas of interest, film numerous times to at least try and debunk. Yeah, I always try to debunk. Strangeness says, I have so much interest and respect for the strangeness, but I usually don't go out in the dark if the air is fog like haze to it. That's the time when I want to go out, but usually don't. Brandy says, when I can't explain it after ruling out everything, one has to wonder. Yeah. I think my explanation of all this stuff is going to be a threat to people that like the woo more than just your standard debunker, because I'm explaining it with a type of science. It may be a science they're not familiar with, but I'm taking the magic out of it. There's still, even though weird shit can happen and it looks magical to most people, there's still a scientific explanation behind it. It's just that mainstream science doesn't subscribe to that. So, Brandy says, I got vids filming at night and there's a static haze in the air, odd colors. I don't know if that's the camera or if it doesn't do it all the time. Cosmic and divine energy, Mr. Lee says. Welcome, Mr. Lee. What's up? Hey, Danny, what's up? Yeah, crazy stuff. Strangeland says everything is connected. In order to run, it has to be balanced. I think we can control health and aging by being aware of where we go and act and react. Knowledge of the ancients, don't overthink. Yeah. Well, the ancients talked about the ether, right? You know, mainstream science doesn't want to admit it, but they're going to eventually have to admit that the ether is real, because so many of their observations are starting to give indication that it's real. I mean, they've even had to create space-time, right? Okay, space and time, neither one's a thing, right? Space is empty space. It's nothing. But now they're talking about there's a fabric to it and gravity can bend it and stretch it and all this shit. And they've had to admit that there's something there that's not space-time. They're still, they got a ways to go. It's the freaking ether. The ancients were right. They knew that there was a substrate. You know, I don't know how to describe it. There's a medium there. You know, light isn't passing through nothing in space. It's got to pass through some kind of medium. So there's something there. It's just that we're something that we can't perceive. Just like if you see a painting, right? You know, if the characters on the painting could think and talk, they'd be like, you try to tell them, hey, you know, your entire world exists on a canvas. They wouldn't know what the fuck you're talking about. And if you were somehow able to yank the canvas up from behind it, the painting would fall apart, because everything is built upon that substrate. That's the ether. But if we ever try to truly understand and explain that, I don't even think we would be able. Like, it would be something so far beyond us. But there must be something there. I mean, they got dark matter and all this stuff that they think they see. All these things indicate that they totally have messed up all their interpretations, and now they're just trying to come up with, there's got to be dark matter there. Well, you haven't proven there's any dark matter. You're just you're making observations that you can't explain, so you invented this dark matter, right? So, woo, there's your woo, right? There's your woo. They've invented this matter that's out there that you can't see. But they say, well, these other observations indicate that there's something there. Or they indicate that you don't understand how any of this shit's functioning as well as you think. Catch up on it. Saying hi to Daily Dan. What's up? Love the beard of knowledge. Well, I don't know if I deserve that title. Strangely, things will present itself, and then we can work on understanding things. A lot of similar experiences with Sasquatch you can see, but a ton of different things going on around it. Brandy says, well, that all should be taken into consideration, right? Water flow near high tension lines, ley lines, yeah. You're thinking in terms of energy, frequency, vibration. You stay on that path, you're going to be all right. That's what Tesla said. You know, Tesla's the one that should be on the altar. You know, not Einstein. Look up some of the quotes Tesla said about Einstein. All energy, all can produce disturbances in some form. Beard of knowledge, yeah. No. Yeah, Joe says people want magic. It makes their lives more interesting. Yeah. And that's the problem. That's why that's why confirmation bias is such a thing. You know, they want to believe this thing, and now they're going to find a way to support that belief. And they'll twist evidence to mean that, even though it doesn't mean that at all. And You know, fighting belief is hard because beliefs it's strong, and people take it real personal. Mr. Lee bringing up old Ron Moorhead and the Sierra Sounds. Yeah, I mean it's interesting sounds, but nobody knows what made those sounds. We can't. We got to be careful not to assume it was Sasquatch. We don't know. Nobody saw what made those sounds. Could be anything. So we got to be careful. Tracy says if I could perform magic, flags would be flying at half staff. Einstein friend created the polio vax. What WTF is HO what? Not entirely sure what you're saying. Strangeline says take notice of odd rocks that may be at feet. Take notice of odd rocks that may be at feet. I've had strange shaped rocks and color. Left a rock on ground and drove 50 kilometers to a restaurant. Get out of the car and rock on the ground just like the first. Huh. Joe says even Ron himself says now that he makes no claims that those sounds were made by Sasquatch. That's good. That's very good. But unfortunately, it's in everybody's head. You know, now who knows how many thousands of people believe that's what Sasquatch sounds like based on that audio. You know, just like dark matter. You know, a lot of people, they've heard dark matter mentioned so much by scientists. The scientists will tell you, well, they'll admit, well, we actually don't know what it is. But now, because people only hear the word and really the rest of it's babble to them, there's who knows how many people out there believe that dark matter is proven to exist, that it's something that's real. Glitch in the Matrix. You referring to what Strangeland said about the rock? Good night, people. Take care. Interesting chat. Thank you, Strangeland. You've never heard the Sierra Sounds audio? Yeah, some crazy audio. Tracy Bennett says his friend had a lake house in Deep Creek, Maryland. In fact, the bed Einstein slept in at that lake house is still there. The footboard and headboard. Sandra says good night to Strangeland. Let's see. Yeah. But that's so that's the problem though with the people. They want to believe the magic so badly, you know. But you know, I'm not trying to destroy the magic of your world. I'm just saying, isn't it better to know what the truth is, accept what the truth is, make your own magic? You know, we've done some shit with technology because, you know, we've understood certain sciences that's downright magical. You know, it would be magical anyway to Paleolithic man. If they saw some of the shit we're doing, we'd be freaking wizards. We'd all be Harry Potter to them. Oh, nope, I don't want to hear it. I only want to hear what happens to me personally, because then I will automatically think, oh, that's what everyone says a Bigfoot sounds like. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, you don't have to hear it. But, you know, there's been so much time spent on the Sierra Sounds in the Bigfoot community, um, which may be a complete waste of time. You know, I mean, a lot of time's been spent on the Sierra Sounds, and we don't know what made them at all. You know what the Bigfoot believers and are so hungry for something, some information that tells them what they sound like, that they're eating it up, and that's unfortunate because we do not know what made those sounds. Brandy says, I'm in a very, very small circle. Tracy says, I do not consider unexplainable experiences or magic. Magic is something people can perform. So, I mean, are you, are you a witchcraft believer or practicer? Because I think there is some aspect that, but I mean, but then again, you know, anytime, you know, when I hear they'll say, well, we can manipulate reality. I'm like, well, show me. No one can show me. No one claiming to practice witchcraft has been able to show me a goddamn thing. They just haven't. So I'm open to its reality. If you can manipulate energy and in such a way to get certain outcomes, then I don't think that's beyond the realm of possibility. It's just that no one's been able to show me. I'm not even from Missouri, damn it. Joe says, if someone hears a strange coyote sound they have never heard before, it becomes Sasquatch for them. Yeah. I saw where Pat mentioned it sounded like a wolf to you last night. Oh, man. But that's how bad it's gotten. You know, sounds that are pretty clearly wolves. Oh, it's a Sasquatch. Everything's a Sasquatch now. Every thump in the woods. You know, we're in a, you know, Pat talks about moving the ball down the field. Well, if we take that analogy just a little bit further, you know, your guy grabs the ball and he hears something in the stands and he runs into the stands. That's where we're at. We have run into the stands. We forgot where the goal was. Brandy says, that's true, Tracy, although I would use the word magical to describe some natural occurrences in nature. If appreciated for all its natural wonder, it is magical to me. Yeah. I use the word, it's, you know, it's amazing. It's amazing stuff. You know, the universe is amazing. Magic carries so much connotation to it. I mean, we're getting back into Harry Potter. Brandy says, I heard raccoons and was freaking out, thinking a damn huge being was fighting something in my backwoods. That shit is not normal. There's this low growl, then a raccoon loses its mind. Fighting something. I'm not sure if I'm fully understanding what you're saying there. But I know I had some other Harry Potter parallels in mind, but things like portals just seem to correlate with me to like a port key in Harry Potter. Being able to fly or vanish, confuse people. Orbs seem kind of like a Patronus, expect a Patronum. It's funny how many things seem to line up with freaking Harry Potter. So, to what degree is that Harry Potter rattling around in the back of people's heads, and then they it got imprinted on the Bigfoot a little bit? I think people do a lot of that. Like seeing a movie about aliens, and then everyone starts having alien sightings, or they describe aliens to look like what they saw in the show. Brandy says, just that normal everyday animals can make some insane noises. Yeah. I wished I had flu powder to travel for a port key. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I'd want to do the broom thing. That doesn't look comfortable at all. Brandy says, foxes, what the hell? They can freak a person out. I'm not trying to flush myself down the loo. What? Danny says, I hate Harry Potter crap. I'm a Star Trek guy. Yeah. I'm sure if I thought about it enough, I could make some Star Trek apply to Bigfoot somehow. I really haven't thought about that. Only thing I've thought about when it comes to Star Trek and Bigfoot is incorporating my Bigfoot characters into my Star Trek story. Which, sometimes I think that might be just going way too far off the deep end, but I certainly think it would be really cool to have a clan of Sasquatch living on a Star Trek starship. And actually show the freaking whales. A lot of people don't realize that on the ship, if you look at the diagram and stuff they had what they called cetacean ops, whale ops. And I think they had something to do with navigation or something. And supposedly there were whales and dolphins, and the whales had command of the dolphins. And it was this whole, but they never showed that on the show. Danny, Brandy's calling you a muggle. Joe says, yeah, that recording was wolves. I would bet money on it, but the person who posted it told me that Sasquatch bioacoustics testing it against every known animal, but why do I think that is bullshit? It probably is. I mean, it's almost certainly bullshit. I mean, who the hell is an expert in Sasquatch bioacoustics? We have never verified what sounds come out of a Sasquatch. So how can there be a field of Sasquatch bioacoustics? That's hilarious. Oh man, we got some muggles up in here. Mr. Lee and Danny. My family are Trekkies. When they go to the mini series of magic, they flush themselves down a loo. Oh yeah. Ministry of yeah. I like Harry Potter and Star Trek, Sandy says. Yeah, I'm with you. I like them both. I've never found myself wanting to write Harry Potter, though, so I guess I'm more Star Trek. But what kind of Potter fan are you? Oh, I don't like. Well, I think I just described it. It's secondary to Star Trek in my mind, I guess. Judging by because I've written some a little bit of Star Wars stuff. I say written. I haven't fleshed out anything. It's all preparatory. you know, like a synopsis and some outlines and some notes and stuff. Everything that I've written is that kind of stuff. Never flesh anything out, because I don't think I'm ever going to be able to make a career out of it. No one's going to publish or make my movies or my shows. I don't think. Not with all this freaking cancel culture, identity politics bullshit that they keep fucking everything up with. I can't remember the old Star Trek. Yeah, I don't remember most of it either. Like, if you go back and watch any of it, it's really, really goofy. And of course, they didn't have special effects worth a damn, and the writing had a lot to be desired. And it's almost like you almost got to just skip ahead to Next Generation, and that wasn't perfect either. And just say, well, just forget the original series but some people are hardcore original series, so I'm going to hell for what I just said. Danny says, I really love Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica, Dark Shadows, and Batman. You know, that new Battlestar Galactica series they did was actually pretty good. I watched the old one when I was young, but you know, it was okay. I mean, I consumed all kinds, any sci-fi, but I've gotten spoiled to the better stuff now, because a lot of times they do have better writing, although not always, and much better special effects. My brothers loved it. We have the movies on VHS, Brandy says. Tracy says, I loved all the Harry Potter books. I wished I had a hell self. So you support slavery? That's horrible. Sanders says, Tracy, yes. Iggy Pop was in Star Trek The Magnificent Ferengi. Oh, the Ferengi. Good gosh. They're such a ridiculous race. And I think, I mean, they'll deny it, but come on. That was a kind of a little anti-Semitic, don't you think? I think that might have been what they were going for. Most time, I should say, yeah, William Shatner rocks. Tracy says J.K. Rowling's pissed the cancel culture off. I can't remember the exact reason. Yeah, well, after she threw them a bone and said Dumbledore was gay, that wasn't good enough. See, they eat their own. It's hilarious how they eat their own. You know, it's like if you can't keep up with stepping up the ridiculousness of your identity politics, then if you fall behind at all, they'll take you down. They'll cancel you. It's so irritating, because I want to include certain elements that are addressing some of the subjects that you know, well, like I've talked about to y'all before, about how I was kind of working on this race of aliens that are all transgender, and it isn't it's an interesting way, a reproductive kind of a situation they got going. And there is a story where there is a minor conflict involving the primary character who of that race, because the character changes gender in somewhere along the line, right? And I don't know how much I should say about what happens, but anyway, but I'm not trying to get in people's face. It's just an interesting thing, because if we go out in the universe and we meet all these new aliens, they're not all going to be just like us, like human norm. They're going to have a variety of different things going on, and you know, why not? But if I put that in there, they've pissed people off so much. If I put that in there, it's going to piss off, the fandom menace. For those of you that are familiar with the fandom menace people, it's going to piss them off because they think it's more identity politics. But it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be, because it's not going after anybody. It's not attacking any. There's no discrimination against the transgender race of people or none of that bullshit's going on. It's just an interesting thing that results in some interpersonal shenanigans going on, and they're not going to be happy. Neither side's going to be happy with me. So now it's like, do I even include them? Do I just focus on the other stuff? It's like, it's like the fact that I have to worry about this at all is just mind-boggling. But you do nowadays. It's crazy. You can't freaking just write and people not. It's just, I don't know. Elves ain't people. That's horrible. When I was done, Tracy didn't cry when Dobby died. Guaranteed. She wasn't pissed either when he got that sock. It's like, damn it, Harry Potter just like stole from him. He just stole from the Malfoys. Brandy says, elves are so good at making shoes. Tiny hands make good cleaners. Ha ha ha. Tracy says, I will give them a new shirt, then they are free to go. Joe says, never read a Harry Potter book in my life. Neither have I. And only saw like one movie, and that's because my wife made me. Yeah, it isn't for everybody. That kind of stuff isn't for everybody. I liked it, but I haven't watched the Harry Potter movies near as much as I've watched like Star Trek movies. I can't even tell you how many times I've watched Star Trek movies. And like the Firefly series, I watched that so many times over. It's like, to me, I think Firefly might be my number one favorite sci-fi series of all time. Jen, we're getting ready to shut her down too. You're late. Hello, Lockbeard just got home from work. Hi, Jen. Malfoys don't deserve an elf, Brandy says. Everybody's saying hi to Jen. Yeah, sorry, Jen, but I was getting ready to shut her down. Okay. And Brandy says, Firefly is awesome. Alan Tudyk is great. Yeah, and they killed off his character. I'm almost glad they didn't find a way to continue the series, because he would I hate it when they bring back a twin played by the same actor. I hate when they do stuff like that. It's like, no, just you killed the character, or like Star Trek. That was kind of interesting what they did in Star Trek with I forget her name, the security chief. Why am I forgetting her name? I just watched a clip from that episode too, where she went back in time, and then she had a half Romulan offspring that looked exactly like her, but was half Romulan. Joe says, I think I've seen every Star Trek movie or series made. I've even watched the cartoon version when I was a kid. Yeah. See, you're Trekkie. You're more Trekkie than I am too. People want to change gender, so be it, but don't rub it in my face and expose the youth to this gender change. That pissed me off. Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. It's in there, like in my story, but like it's not. I'm not trying to be in your face. You could almost miss it. Like a kid watching it might always miss what's going on, not understand what's going on. It's subtle enough stuff going. Well, I think it would eventually not be that subtle, but it's not meant to be in your face. It's just meant to be an interesting thing going on in this a relationship. See you footers later. Good show, Lockbeard. You too. Sandra, actually, I was getting ready to shut her down. Central Florida Bigfoot's getting ready to come on, so everybody go there. Well, you don't have to, but if you want, if you're going over there, Lockbeard, since apparently I'm a pirate, we're gonna we should raid Central Florida every Saturday, and also remember, Joe's been in here today. Remember to check out his show. He's got 2 shows on his channel, Western New York Bigfoot Research Organization. Well, it's not that anymore. It's Bigfoot Investigation Group now. But he's got 2 shows on the channel. New York Sasquatch Live at 6 o'clock Central Time on Wednesday, and Sasquatch Speaks at 7 o'clock Central Time on Friday. So y'all be able to be sure and check him out. And remember Moog's show and Something to Sasquatch About show and Squatch Talk. And there's plenty. You can go check out the actually, I'll go ahead and post that link again in case anybody hasn't got it. It's helped me keep from missing shows sometimes because YouTube doesn't always send notifications. Even when I click the notification bell, or I don't have a device on me, right, all the time. So I kind of got to, so say I'm getting ready to go somewhere and I'm like, well, what time do I need to make sure I get back so I can catch this show live and I can check the guide, right? But there's not going to be a notification on YouTube. So yeah, anyway, there's the link to the TV guide. Any suggestions, let me know. Yeah, Joe's mentioning No Such Thing podcast as well. See if I missed anything else. Boy, chat's still flying on me. Tracy says, I was sad when Dobie died. I knew from book 1 that Snape was there to protect Harry. Yeah, you could kind of, it can be hard to write a character to look like they are one thing and not the other. I mean, subverting expectations is a very fine art. If you but people are getting exposed to so many cases where it's done completely wrong. It's fucking Ryan Johnson with The Last Jedi movie. He thought he was subverting expectations. No, you were just you're just throwing rocks at a dartboard, man. That's that was such a ridiculous pile of shit. You think Moog should be Klingon? Yeah, I haven't given a lot of thought about the Klingons on the ship. There has to be, because it's going to be an extremely large ship, and it's going to have an ambassadorial section where there's going, because they're going so far away and they're going to be gone so long that they got ambassador embassies on the ship, right? So they basically we're ended up with some level of a small community of a whole bunch of races. All right, we'll see you later. Thanks for coming, man. Brandy says, Tracy, that's a problem because the community claims unfairness and that people aren't accepting. So it's a subject that's forced. No offense to anyone or the topic, but it's true. Yeah. It's problem. I think because the problem I think with them is we are accepting it, and they don't like that. They want us to be not accepting, so they have a reason for us to attack them, for them to attack us. I guess I don't know. It's like no matter what you do, it's not good enough. It just isn't. Not for them. They just. Michael says Mogs is more Harry Potter. He's got owls. Well, thanks for coming, everybody. We better cut her off, and hope I see somebody over at Central Florida Bigfoot. Let's do a pirate raid on Central Florida. See you later.